Here in the studio, we have Trent Farris, who's the Public Information Officer for the York County Sheriff's Office. Trent, give us kind of an indication of the call volume that the Sheriff's Office received over the last 24, 48 hours in regards to Saturday storms.
Well, just to give everybody some context, it wasn't just the Sheriff's Office. It was, this is dispatch from York County to the city and everybody across the entire county. I will tell you right now, to give you some context, there are 3 active calls that are where a deputy or EMS or a fire department's on scene of something this morning, right now. But that right after the storm, right after it stopped, this came from one of our sergeants, Michael Hawkins, who he told me, he was like, at that time, there are currently 30 active calls between law enforcement, fire, and EMS in York County. But there are 75 calls waiting because there's nobody available to respond. This doesn't include city law enforcement and everything like that. He has never seen anything or that many calls pending, not even close to it. And his time and he's a sergeant. He's been on the road for a while now, so he has some pretty experience.
So what happens during that time? Is it just an all call for everyone to come to work? What happens?
Okay. Thank goodness, not this time. But I'll tell you, I was out in the yard. One of our lieutenants called me, said we had a building collapse, which would, in terms of it, it's not like a building just fell in on itself. It was a tree that landed on a house. And he called me, and I went into my house to see. And I looked at that same app that I can see where all of our calls are. And I just said, calls pending, calls pending, calls pending. I was like, I can't even. And if you know how the Sheriff's Office Facebook and our social media work, I like to keep everybody updated where the trees are when we have a major weather event. So you can make better decisions on where to go. And I could not keep up with it. So I called one of the other sergeants, Sergeant Lee Wright, and I said, Lee, where's it the worst? So I could tell everybody. He goes, man, Trent, right now it's like Saluda Road, Highway 72, all the way to Terza, like 161. I said, you name it. There's something down, tree, power line, limb in the road, somebody having some kind of issue. And that's just what happens is they say stack it. You get stacked on the order of priority. What's the worst? It's kind of like triage in an ER room. Like, who's got it worst? If there's a tree in the road that's like a small limb, that's probably going to be less priority than somebody has a tree on their house, or there's a tree in the road and we have to help out with traffic control so fire can get in there and cut that tree up. One of our deputies later on that morning I talked to, and he just said, I'm glad I just don't have a chainsaw in my hand, because he's a volunteer firefighter. He was out there cutting up trees all day prior to going to a shift at work. So it was very, very busy for everybody.
Trent, what's the concern over the next 24, 48 hours in terms of the view from law enforcement given Saturday storm?
We're assistance mode. Of course, if anybody needs anything like that, power's out. So that we just ask everybody to do, Chuck and Malcolm over at Emergency Management would tell you the same thing. Make sure you keep your phone charged. A lot of people don't have a landline hardly anymore, and if you do, they probably still work to some capacity, unless you have one of those electric phones who has a battery-powered thing. But keep your phone charged the best you can. If you have to go outside and crank up your car and plug up your phone in your car to charge it up, keep that charged up so you'll have some kind of mode of communication to either call 911 or something like that.
What about people who might have medical needs, who might need power? What do those folks need to do?
That's probably a better answer for Chuck over at Emergency Management, but they have resources for folks, or they can call in resources for folks if they need it.
Well, I know you did not hear too much of Jimmy's interview, but Jimmy said the storm came out of nowhere. They didn't, at least with the hurricane, we had some sort of way to prepare for Hurricane Hugo, which he said this is the last time we had that kind of damage here in the city. Wow.
Yeah, and kudos. Last week was actually National Telecommunicators Week. It's the week that we honor our dispatchers who are over there. And wow, way to end the week, guys and gals over at Emergency 911, because you really showed the backbone of what happens over in a 911 center. Because it's always a funny joke to say is like our telecommunicators tell cops and firefighters where to go. They're the only people that say, I can tell you where to go. It's where, and they ended off the week in a bang, because it was amazing how they were able to prioritize and stack those calls and tell people where to go, from our firefighters to us at the sheriff's office to EMS and everything. They are our triage nurses that tell, say, doctor, this person has a this and this person has a this, and they figure out way to go over there, because if it weren't for them, it would have been just chaos and we would have been all over the place.